Greg from Cutting Edge Stencils coming to you live, L-O-V-E, live from Ramsey, New Jersey, the Cutting Edge Stencil Studios. Wow, what a time we are in the middle of. But we are in the middle of showing you how to stencil all over stencils on walls. It's very easy. It's something that everyone can do. I'm demystifying this for you. It's something that you should try at your home. Express yourself. You might have more time on your hands than you did previously. So look, a couple things I want to talk about. One is patience. Now, when we do projects like this, we have many opportunities to really practice patience, whether it's the paint's not drying fast enough, or my repairs and my spackle's not drying fast enough, or I can't remove the tape right and it's getting stuck to each other and all of this stuff. We have many opportunities. Patience builds mental strength. So we want to exercise this. We want to, when these opportunities come up and something is aggravating you and it's not happening fast enough, that is an opportunity for you to sit back, not get crazy about it, to see it from a different perspective and to move forward. You're not going to move as gracefully if you're impatient. So I'm going to move this into our wall project here. We did do a couple of repairs on the wall over here. I don't know if you can see. We did these the other day. We have a spot here and a spot here. So they've dried. I take my sanding block here and I just do a very light sanding on that. And because it's flat paint, as I spoke about last week, we don't really have to prime this. So we can just put our flat Benjamin Moore Navajo white paint right on top of that, and we don't have to worry about it flashing. Flashing is what happens when you have a glossy paint and then you have an area that you repaired and you paint it, you go to touch it up, and it has a different sheen, a different shine to it because it wasn't sealed properly. That's called flashing. So just keep that in mind. So we'll prep this, and this will be ready because I am going to teach you how to wrap this stencil through the corner. Now, last week we started at the top. What I taught you to do was when you're doing an all-over stencil, you find a place in your room where you can do a full column from floor to ceiling uninterrupted, no window in the way, no vent, no light switch, no nothing, if you can do it. And start at the top, put your stencil, place it to the top of the crown or your ceiling line, level it with your Cutting Edge Stencils bubble level. It's an amazing tool. This way you see where you are, you do one column floor to ceiling, and once you have that established, now you can very easily build your pattern left and right. So I did another print here since last week, and I'm going to pull this off right now. You can see this is our registration system. Our all-over stencils have this extra piece that's cut in. This is our registration system, and the way it works is you see this? I'm going to go right here, and I'm going to come to the bottom one, and I'm going to line it up. So it just gives me a way. Thanks for sticking with me here. I'm going to line this up on both sides. I'm going to check my bubble level, just look down, and I'm going to see that it's dead center, and then there you go. This is a built-in registration system. Not all stencil manufacturers do this. Janna is really good about designing the registration system into these stencils to make it very easy for you. So I've got this up. I've got no spray adhesive on here. I've got 8 pieces of tape. The roller itself, the pressure of that's going to push this down. Let's go do this print. Last week I showed you I took an old plastic bag and I lined an old tray liner, but I'm going to share something with you. Most tray liners have these little bumps underneath here. You can see if you come over here on the tray liner, see how it's got bumps on it, and here it's got bumps. Well, for stenciling, we don't really want those bumps. So when I load my roller, what happens is it's going to put that pattern on my roller. So what I like to do sometimes if I'm using a tray like this is just have a flat surface like a paper plate and then you can roll it on the paper plate a little bit, and it kind of takes away that texture. So look, I've got my dense foam roller. It's already loaded because I did a print. I've got my bag that has a wet paper towel in it that keeps things wet while I'm working. I want to take a break, take a phone call. I stick this in here. My roller stays wet, doesn't dry out. That's what we want. So look, I got my paint here. I got my roller here. We've talked about this 100 times. Evenly load the roller. So what I'm talking about is if I come over these bumps here, you can almost see them. It picks up the bumpy texture. If I go here, you can probably see it a little bit more. So what I'm going to do is go here, and I'm going to work it in more evenly. If your tray is flat, you don't have to do this step. So now I've got a smooth, nicely loaded roller. I'm going to come back around here, come down here. It's nice to have something for your knees here. I have a little folded tarp. So I'm going to start with light to medium pressure. I've aligned my stencil using the built-in registration system. And I start to build up my coverage, being careful not to what we call overroll. That would be overrolling, going off the stencil edge. If it's tight in certain areas, you can add a piece of tape right next to it, and this way you will reduce the risk of rolling over. So I'm going to get this going. This is a Ben Moore, Deep Royal Blue, I believe is the name of the color, over Benjamin Moore Navajo White Flat. As usual, we like to stencil flat paint on flat paint because a couple of reasons. It dries quickly. It doesn't bleed underneath the edges of the stencil as readily as any glossy paint would. Glossier paints have retarders in them which slows the drying time so they flatten and level. So it looks like those old oil paints. Old oil paints took a while to dry, and that's why when you see like baseboards painted with them, they're beautiful and smooth. So what they've done with the water-based paints that do dry faster is they've added retarders to slow them down, mainly glycerin. Okay, so I've got this going. I'm building up my coverage. I've used my built-in registration system. I've used my Cutting Edge Stencils stencil level. Awesome tool. Otherwise, I'd be up here with a bubble level and a pencil, and I wouldn't even know if this is straight. I wouldn't know what's going on. So this is a great tool. So look, we got this going. I'm going to pull this off. And I think what I'll do today is I'll position this, well, let's see here. I think I want to show you the top edge stencil today. Let me reload this, get a little more paint coming up top here. Once again, even load. I am going to go to my paper plate, work it in a little bit, to my paper towel, nicely loaded roller, back down a little bit more, then I'm going to pull this off. You see how easy this is? Take your time. You're going to be learning as you go. As you go through your project in your room, of course you're going to get faster at this. As you start to do your second and third project, you're going to be a master at this. Okay, so I'm going to pull this off, and we're going to go do a top edge stencil. I'm going to show you why we have a top edge stencil right now. So let me pull this down. Stick with me here. I'm going to remove this. And there you go. That's simple. Now let's say I'm going to go back up to the crown molding here. I got my little step stool. And I want to do that top edge. Can you imagine if I had to take this, put this all the way at the top, had all this hanging on top of me on the ceiling. Now I'm getting paint on the ceiling. What a drag. We're not going to do that. I'm going to push this aside, and I'm going to come right here to top edge stencil. Now, a lot of our all-overs come with this top edge stencil. This just makes it more convenient so you don't have all that stencil falling down on top of you when you're trying to do that top edge. The look of a professional stencil job is to let the pattern continue right up to the ceiling line. Don't leave this what we call negative space, which is the area that isn't done. Don't leave that. I mean, you can, it's a look, but I prefer it to look like it's all the way underneath. Now I take this, even this has the registration system in it. I line it up, goes right underneath. Uh-oh, 2 minutes left. Let's see if I can do this top edge. I'm gonna grab a stencil brush right here. I'm gonna quickly load that, just the tips, to my paper plate. Circular motion, offload on paper towel, back up. Come on up with me. Boom, boom, boom. I'm going to use a vertical pouncing motion. Stippling, some call it. So now I'm going to ask you a question, and the first person to answer correctly in the comments section will win the stencil of their choice, up to $50. And the question is, what is it called when you have a different sheen, when you've done a repair and you paint the repair and it shows up in the light differently? What is that called? I told you earlier, the winner will get a free stencil up to $50 of their choice from Cutting Edge Stencils. All right, check it out. I just did the top edge stencil. It's coming down. And you see how easy that was? It looks complete now. Okay, don't forget to save this post. Don't forget patience. Don't forget to tune in next week. Thank you so much, and take care of yourself and be well.